The rain hits my face as I reach the yellow door. For 10 years, he waited just for me. In your dreams, gives you hope, help you trust your heart, and is great to talk about. Watch my summary now and read it.
The smell of burnt remoulade.
Acrid.
Yeah.
Thick. It's not just a cooking smell.
No, it's a chemical signal.
Right. It hits the back of your throat and just stays there.
It's hanging in the air, heavy, oily, completely overpowering the scent of the heirloom tomatoes.
And the peach preserves.
The peach preserves that were supposed to be the absolute stars of the show. It's that specific culinary smell where you know just viscerally in your gut that something has gone horribly wrong.
But Madison can barely smell it.
No, because there's a ringing in her ears.
A ringing that's so loud it's completely drowning out the kitchen.
It's panic.
Pure physiological panic. We aren't just talking about stress here. We're talking about an adrenaline dump that has left her completely hollowed out.
She's standing there. The EpiPen is gone.
Because she just plunged it into the thigh of the guy at table 12.
The sudden walnut allergy.
Right. And her hands are shaking so hard she can't even uncurl her finger. She's vibrating.
And then she looks outside through those massive glass walls of the greenhouse.
Yeah.
And it's not the peaceful Kentucky evening she imagined.
It's a war zone.
You have the blinding white flashes of paparazzi cameras. Pop, pop, pop. Reflecting jaggedly off the glass.
And they aren't even there for the food.
No, they're there for Ray Rose. But what they're catching
Is violence.
it's the sickening thud of a fist connecting with a jaw.
James Huxley.
The golden boy. The oak table.
Punching his brother Tommy right in the face.
In the gravel.
In the rain, the vibration of that rain drumming against the glass structure, it's oppressive.
It's in closing.
It amplifies all the chaos. You have these two brothers wrestling in the mud, destroying their clothes, destroying the dignity of the entire night, while Madison just watches.
And she breaks.
It's the ultimate breaking point.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you think you're just looking at a rom-com where a girl falls for her brother's best friend, you are looking at the surface of a very deep, very dark lake.
A very dark lake.
We are doing a deep dive today into the source material. We're treating this text as a forensic case study
A case study in trauma.
in trauma, in the paralyzing, suffocating weight of family expectations, and this really terrifying concept of the identity of failure.
We have a massive stack of notes.
So many notes. We have the text, we have the timelines, and frankly, we have a lot of questions about James Huxley's psychological state.
And we have time. We are not rushing this deep dive.
No.
To understand why Madison is standing in that kitchen with the ringing in her ears, you have to understand the 30 years of small-town conditioning that put her there.
You can't just look at the kiss. You have to look at the scars.
Exactly.
So let's start at the beginning, or rather, the scene of the supposed comfort. Let's talk about Rome, Kentucky.
The setting is a character. It always is in this genre, but Rome is very aggressive in its presence.
Aggressive is definitely the right word. Look at the map provided in the source material. You've got the pie shop, the town square, Huxley Farm. It's painted as this idyllic haven.
The ultimate small-town haven.
Right, but I have to be the skeptic here for a second. Because does this trope not feel incredibly claustrophobic to you?
Well, it depends on what you're running from.
But think about the reality of it. Everyone knows your business. There's zero anonymity. Madison walks down the street, and people aren't just saying hi. They're remembering that time she spiked the punch at prom.
Which is years ago.
Years ago.
Yeah.
They're remembering the blood-packed gossip. It's a surveillance state disguised as a community.
I see that. I do. It's the Panopticon effect.
For what?
The Panopticon effect. The idea that you are always being watched, so you constantly regulate your behavior. You police yourself because the town is policing you.
Yes.
But you're missing the other side of that coin. Look at the text. Look at the stark contrast with Madison's life in New York.
Okay.
She describes that brownstone vividly. She talks about the paper-thin walls.
Right. She hears her roommate Bryce having sex constantly, which is a nightmare.
It is. She hears the traffic. She hears the sirens. She's surrounded by millions of people, yet she describes being profoundly alone.
She is isolated in a crowd.
That is a very specific type of urban loneliness.
That's a fair point. In New York, you can scream and no one cares. In Rome, you whisper and everyone knows.
Exactly. In Rome, yes, they know your business. Annie, Emily, Noah. They invade James's kitchen. They don't even knock, they just walk right in.
Which would drive me insane.
Sure, but that lack of anonymity provides a safety net. It's emotional safety. When you fall in New York, you hit concrete. When you fall in Rome, you land in a net of people who, yeah, they're annoying, but they catch you.
So you're arguing the intrusion is the price of the safety.
Precisely. And for Madison, someone who believes she is fundamentally broken, she needs that net. Even if she resents it, she needs to know that if she falls apart, someone will actually notice. In New York, she could fall apart and just disappear.
Let's talk about the specific part of that net she falls into. James Huxley,
The brother's best friend.
the absolute most classic trope. But the dynamic here is highly specific. They're described in the text as friends by default.
Right. Because their parents were best friends. Martin and Ruth Huxley and the Walkers, they were a unit, so James and Noah were raised almost as brothers.
Which puts Madison in this default friend club. And I just have to ask, is that romantic? Or is it literally just proximity? Because the source material sells us this idea that he's been in love with her for a decade, 10 years. Is that realistic, or is it just convenient plotting?
It's about witnessing.
Witnessing.
Think about what James actually knows about her. He didn't meet her at a bar when she was 30 and looking cute and put together. He knows the weird Barbie phase.
Oh, God, the haircut.
6-year-old Madison cutting her own hair because she wanted to look different. He was there. He witnessed the tractor incident.
The pond crash.
She promised him she was a great driver, and she drove his tractor straight into the pond.
That's property damage.
It is, but the point is he doesn't love her despite those things. He loves her because he knows the worst, most chaotic versions of her, and he's still standing there. That's what distinguishes this trope from a random meet-cute. It's the weight of history. It's not about liking your vibe. It's knowing your soul and not running away.
Okay, but does history equal compatibility? Because Madison defines herself by those chaotic moments. She doesn't see them as cute quirks. She sees them as evidence.
Evidence of what?
Evidence that she is a failure. This is the core of the psychological profile for me.
It really is.
We need to go incredibly deep on this identity of failure because it dictates every single decision she makes. She literally lists them. It's a resume of disaster.
It's a heartbreaking list when you read it objectively.
Jumping off the shed with an umbrella. Result, a broken leg.
Classic childhood experimentation. But she internalizes it as deep incompetence.
Spiking the prom bunch. Result, community service.
Teenage rebellion. Normal teenage behavior.
The banana bread fire at the elementary school.
Okay, that one is objectively bad, but accidents happen in kitchens.
But here is the big one. The extra credit graduation. This detail completely killed me. She is graduating from the Culinary Institute of New York, this highly prestigious place.
Right.
But she admits, really only to the reader at first and eventually to James, that she only passed because she agreed to scrub the floors.
They clean the lab every single night.
She cleaned the floors for a month to get the extra credit points to barely scrape by. Now look at this from her perspective. That is definitive proof she shouldn't be a chef. That is imposter syndrome manifesting as reality. If you have to mop the floor to pass the cooking class, maybe you aren't a cook.
See, I disagree completely with her assessment there.
Really? How can you defend that?
That isn't failure. That is pure grit. That is survival. A failure would have quit. A failure would have looked at the grades and said, I'm not good at sauces. I'm going home to Kentucky.
But she basically did go home to Kentucky.
Eventually, yes, but at that moment, Madison said, I'm not good at sauces yet, but I will scrub this floor until my hands bleed if it means I get that diploma. That shows a tenacity that she absolutely refuses to give herself credit for.
But she doesn't see it as grit. She sees it as fraud. And why? Because of Chef Davis.
Chef Davis.
We have to talk about the mascot for failure concept.
This is workplace trauma, plain and simple.
He used her as a literal example to the other students of what not to do.
It's the yes chef culture of abuse.
Yeah.
It's this toxic idea that you have to be completely broken down to be built back up. But for Madison, she just got broken down. The building up never happened. She talks about crying in the bathroom stall, the shaking hands.
The panic attack in James's kitchen later where she throws the flour, that is a textbook PTSD response.
It absolutely is. She enters a professional kitchen environment and her body remembers the trauma, even if her mind is trying to push through it. The flour throwing, it's defensive. She's trying to create a physical cloud, a barrier between her and the expectation of failure.
And amidst all this trauma, she has a companion, Sammy.
Sammy the Tortoise.
Found half squashed in Central Park, living in a plastic bin with a pink Band-Aid on his shell.
The objective correlative.
Okay, let's explain that for the listener.
An objective correlative is a literary device. It's where an object or a specific situation represents the internal emotional state of a character. Sammy is Madison.
Literally.
She projects all of her fragility onto this reptile. She claims he isn't emotionally ready to be released into the wild. She says physically he's fine, but emotionally he's not ready.
She's talking about herself.
Explicitly. She is the one living in a plastic bin, her terrible apartment. She is the one with a Band-Aid on her shell. She is the one terrified of being squashed again.
And what does James do in New York at the end of their trip?
He puts Sammy back in the bin.
He takes him out of the park and puts him right back in the bin.
Because he realizes the odds aren't in Sammy's favor in Central Park. It's a moment of profound protection.
Yeah.
He's not coddling her. He's assessing the risk and saying, you and the turtle are not safe out here. Let's go home.
Which brings us to the protector himself, James. The oak table.
Madison thinks this is an insult. She calls him an oak table right to his face.
Because it sounds boring. It sounds like furniture. Sturdy, dependable, completely unmoving. Madison wants fireworks and she gets wood.
But James hates it too. That's the most interesting part of his psychology. He reacts with real venom to that description. He says, I don't want to be a table. I want to be James Dean.
He wants to be the rebel. But his actions are pure oak table. Look at the evidence. He hides the high blood pressure from everyone. He hides the financial ruin of the farm. He refuses help after his dad's heart attack.
This is the toxic self-sacrifice complex.
Exactly. Is it stability or is it martyrdom?
It's martyrdom masquerading as stability. He deeply believes that if he cracks, the entire family structure falls apart. He is the load-bearing wall. If the wall moves, the house collapses. He is the eldest son in spirit, if not in biological fact. He absorbs all the shock, so no one else has to feel it.
But he does crack. He has a secret.
The smoking.
James Huxley, the golden boy, smokes cigarettes behind the barn.
It's his one vice.
I found this detail completely fascinating because you could easily argue he is a massive hypocrite. He's lecturing everyone else about health and safety and heart attacks, and he's back there inhaling toxins.
No, I think it humanizes him. It proves he isn't actually made of wood. He's burning on the inside. The scene where Madison catches him, it's not about the cigarette itself. It's about the intimacy of the secret.
She smells it on him. Irish Spring and tobacco.
That scent profile becomes her primary trigger for him. But sharing that secret, him admitting he only does it when he can't sleep, it creates a bond that the friends by default dynamic never had. It's illicit. It's something the parents do not know.
Speaking of illicit, let's talk about the big lie, the AFD contract. Anderson Food Distributions.
The central moral dilemma of the text.
James is offered what is essentially a sellout contract. Big corporate money, corporate oversight, but it saves the farm guaranteed. The financial ruin goes away. And he refuses.
He refuses it outright.
I have to play devil's advocate here because I was reading this just screaming at the page. He's being an idiot. Take the money, James. Save the legacy. Why struggle and give yourself literal high blood pressure when there is a massive check sitting on the table?
Because it's about pride and it's about identity. If he takes the AFD contract, he becomes just a middle manager. He stops being a farmer. He stops being the Huxley who made it work with his own hands. He refuses to be the generation that sold out.
But wait, he's willing to risk the entire farm on a restaurant? On Madison? A chef who just told us she's a failure?
That's the gamble. That is the massive stakes of this plot.
Let's pivot to those plot mechanics because this gamble is built on a very specific, almost bizarre timeline. The 101-day countdown.
Until I fail.
Madison starts the narrative counting down to her failure, not to her success. Why does a protagonist do that?
Pessimism as a defense mechanism. It's incredibly common in trauma responses. If you predict the crash, it hurts slightly less when you finally hit the wall. She's preemptively managing her own disappointment. She's inoculating herself against hope.
And the inciting incident that interrupts this countdown. The phone call.
The accidental dial.
Let's do a forensic analysis on this. She tries to call Jack, her brother-in-law, and she dials James.
In the text, she says she dialed the wrong J name in her contacts.
Do we actually buy that? Or is this deep subconscious desire?
Freud would have an absolute field day with this moment. She's in a severe crisis. She's crying on the floor of her apartment. She needs safety. Who does she call? Not the brother-in-law. She calls the oak table. She calls the one single person who has been solid her entire life. It is absolutely a subconscious cry for help to the exact person she knows can answer it.
And he answers. And then he immediately lies.
He invents the job.
He invents a restaurant that does not exist on the spot.
I'm opening a restaurant. I want you to be the chef.
Is this romantic? Or is this deeply manipulative? I lean toward manipulative.
Hmm.
Because he lures her home under completely false pretenses. He didn't have a restaurant. He needed her to justify building it to Tommy, but he didn't have the foundation poured yet.
It's both. It's deeply manipulative because he is stripping her of informed consent. She thinks she's walking into a professional job opportunity. She's actually walking into a rescue mission. But it's romantic in the sense that he is willing to construct an entire alternate reality just to give her a soft place to land. He builds a world for her.
He literally builds a world. Let's talk about the cottage.
The Snow White cottage.
This is a huge part of the atmosphere. The sensory details the author uses here are just off the charts.
It's sensory exhaustion, but in a healing way.
The yellow door.
He painted it yellow.
Because he knew she'd like it.
He remembers. That's the thing about James that counters the manipulation argument. He pays intense attention. He knows she likes yellow. He knows she likes gingham drapes.
Yeah.
He brought her old bed from the main house.
That is nesting.
It is biological nesting.
Okay.
He was preparing the space for his mate before she even agreed to come home. He was creating a physical sanctuary where the identity of failure couldn't reach her.
But then we get the boots in the shower scene. And I have to pause the psychological swooning for a second to discuss the pure logistics of this absolute farce.
It's a classic comedic setup.
Mabel, the neighbor, the town gossip, walks in. James has to hide. He dives onto the floor. But his boots are sitting right there.
The massive, muddy work boots.
And Madison has to pretend they are hers. Or try to hide them.
She tries to kick them under the bed. It's pure chaos.
And James is hiding in the shower, fully clothed.
He eventually ends up squeezed into the tiny bathroom space, yes. It's ridiculous.
It's slapstick.
It is slapstick, but it serves a vital narrative purpose. It breaks the unbearable tension. It forces them into these tight conspiratorial moments. The Snickers on a Vine Dream text chain does the exact same thing later on.
Oh, explain that one. I love that weird little detail.
James texts her out of nowhere that he dreamt of picking green beans and finding a Snickers bar growing on the vine.
Which is ridiculous for a farmer.
It's absurd, but it's him trying to speak her language. Madison is the chaos agent. James is the order agent. By sharing a chaotic, nonsensical dream, he is willingly stepping into her world. He's saying, I can be silly too. I can be illogical.
It's a bonding mechanic.
Precisely, it levels the emotional playing field.
Okay, let's talk about the food. Because at its core, this is a story about a chef. The restaurant concept.
This is the thematic battleground of the entire text.
You have Tommy's vision versus Madison's vision, and Tommy is the catalyst for so much of this friction.
Tommy wants sleek. He's the metropolitan brother. He wants LA style. He wants a polished concrete, minimalism, Gucci sunglasses. He wants a place that looks like it belongs in an architectural magazine.
And Madison wants cast iron cornbread.
She wants Southern, rustic, honest.
The menu debate. Heirloom tomato stacks versus whatever deconstructed foam thing Tommy was constantly pitching. This is authenticity versus performance.
Madison spent 2 excruciating years in New York performing the role of a high-end, cutthroat chef, performing competence. And she failed because it inherently wasn't her. When she comes back to Rome, she tries to perform again initially, but James and the farm itself forces her to be authentic. You can't fake a tomato that you just pulled out of the dirt yourself.
True.
And that's the grand metaphor. Madison has to stop being a New York chef and start being a Rome chef. She has to radically accept her roots.
But the roots are poisoned by the lie. Which brings us to the confrontation.
The reveal.
Tommy spills the beans. He's the truth teller of the family, even if he's obnoxious about it. He tells the parents, and Madison overhears, that the farm is literally failing, that James only built the restaurant because it was Madison.
He wouldn't have risked the farm for anyone else. Not for a Michelin star chef, only her.
Does this make the initial lie better or worse? Let's debate this.
It's the ultimate double-edged sword.
From my perspective, it makes it infinitely worse. It puts an immense, completely unfair pressure on her shoulders. Think about it. If she fails, she doesn't just lose a job. She kills the family farm. She destroys James's legacy. That is a crushing weight to put on someone who is already recovering from severe panic attacks. It's almost cruel.
I see that. I totally see the cruelty and the pressure, but look at it from James's perspective, or even the broader narrative perspective. It proves she is the strongest kindling.
Referencing the dedication.
Yes. Surround yourself with the strongest kindling. James deeply believes that she is the only person strong enough to save them. It's the ultimate compliment, wrapped up in a terrible deception. He trusts her talent more than she trusts herself. He is betting the farm, literally betting his entire life's work on her sheer ability to cook.
But the pressure works exactly as you'd expect. She runs.
He repents.
She runs through the fireflies. She has another panic attack.
And James chases her. He always chases her.
And this leads us right back to where we started this whole deep dive.
Right.
The soft opening disaster.
The redux.
Now that you, the listener, have all the context, the pressure, the lie, the secret smoking, the trauma from Chef Davis, that opening scene in the kitchen hits entirely differently.
It's not just a bad night at a restaurant. It's a collapse of the entire psychological structure they've built.
The walnut allergy incident.
Table 12.
Madison saves the day with the EpiPen. She is highly competent in a life-or-death crisis.
It is. She literally saves the man's life. But she can't save the dinner service.
The burnt remoulade.
Symbolism. The sauce is burnt. The foundation of the dish is ruined.
And then the fight. James versus Tommy out in the gravel.
The catastrophic release of the pressure valve.
Now, come on. Grown men fighting in gravel. Is that not incredibly embarrassing? I argue it's not romantic at all. It's messy. It's primal in a really bad, regressive way.
I strongly disagree. I think it was fundamentally necessary. The oak table finally snapped. James has been holding up the roof for 10 years. He has been the good son, the intensely responsible brother, the stoic farmer. He needed to break. He needed to physically punch something. And Tommy, who has been poking him, calling him a coward, relentlessly pushing the AFD contract, Tommy needed to be punched.
So it's the breaking of the dam.
Exactly. And notice what happens immediately after the violence.
Madison kicks them both out.
Get out of here, both of you.
She completely takes control.
She stops being the fragile little sister. She stops being the mascot for failure. In that exact moment, she is the chef. She is the ultimate authority. She commands the space. The kitchen is finally hers.
And then, after the adrenaline fades, she cries in the cottage.
And Mabel comes in.
Mabel's speech. This is the thesis. It's not the day you dreamed of, but it's the day you got.
That is the thesis of the entire book. Perfection is a myth. The dream of the perfect opening, the perfect career, the perfect unblemished self. It's a trap that keeps you paralyzed. You have to work with the day you got. You have to work with the burnt sauce.
And the reconciliation between the brothers.
The porch cigarette scene.
Sitting there with frozen peas and an ice pack.
And they laugh. They laugh through the physical pain. Because the secret is finally out. The pressure of the failing farm is gone. The farm might fail, they might lose it all, but at least they are finally honest with each other.
And finally the ending. The his and hers turtles.
The grand romantic gesture.
James gives her a turtle. 2 turtles, actually.
Yeah.
James Jr. and Turtellini.
It's perfect.
Is it, though? It feels a little cheesy to me. A little too neatly tied up with a bow. A rom-com ending.
It represents a slow, steady future. Think about the biology of turtles. They don't run. They don't sprint towards some imaginary finish line. They carry their home on their backs. It's James saying, we don't have to rush. We don't have to be a frantic New York kitchen. We can be slow. We can be steady. It's stability that isn't toxic.
That is actually beautiful when you put it that way.
It is. It's a profound acceptance of their pace.
But I have one final question before we wrap up this deep dive. Did Madison actually succeed as a chef? Or did she just succeed at being loved?
Look at the epilogue. Look at the reviews. The Gatherer, Stargaze. They loved the food.
They loved the heirloom tomato stack.
She succeeded as a chef strictly because she succeeded at being herself. She finally stopped cooking for the ghost of Chef Davis and started cooking for Rome. She cooked with love, not with terror.
So what does this all mean for you listening?
It means failure isn't a dead end. It's a pivot point. It's data.
And here is the provocative thought I want to leave you with today. If Madison had stayed in New York and succeeded, if she had become the executive chef at some fancy French restaurant and never once burned a sauce, would she actually be happy? Or is failure, returning home in disgrace, crashing the tractor, burning the school, breaking the leg, actually the only way to truly find yourself?
Sometimes you have to burn the remoulade to realize you wanted to cook grits all along.
And with that image, the stars finally visible through the greenhouse glass, we are signing off. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.